Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of The Meeting Place. The Meeting Place is UTSC's student life podcast where we interview one student every week about what their student experience has been like at UTSC. We talk about the clubs they've been involved in and a little bit about their academic program. This week's guest is Nimit, so let's listen into the interview. Nimit, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Jonathan?
I'm fantastic. And we're continuing this trend of people who I'm recording with who have recording mics, which is amazing. So the sound quality should be fantastic. I'm super excited about that. So Nimit, let's go and talk about how it is that you chose to come to UTSC in the first place. What is it that prompted you to pick UTSC out of all the schools you could have gone to?
Um, there were a lot of schools I applied to actually. My parents were really paranoid about that, so I just applied to literally every school I could, from Western, McMaster, University of Toronto, even Guelph and like Ryerson and everything. But then UTSC, first of all, I live like 10 minutes away, so I could literally like run there if I really tried. And on top of
That's
that,
convenient.
yeah, and I've always been into neuro a lot ever since I was small, and they had a good specialist program, and they also have a good major program. So those were the 2 points that actually made me come. And I had to stay home. I'm an only child, so my parents are kind of protective like that.
Gotcha. So they needed you to be home. So
Yeah,
it kind of worked out in a number of ways then. The right program, good location, everybody wins.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's good. So you're majoring in neuroscience and psychology, right?
Mhm.
So how is it that you picked those two majors? Is it you just felt they complemented each other very well, or did you have specific interests in both of those things?
Yeah, since I was like 4 years old, wanted to be like a neurosurgeon. So neuroscience was like definitely a given thing. And then
4 years old, neuroscience.
yeah,
How is it that a 4-year-old gets interested in neuroscience? There's got to have been like a moment for you or something that you saw on TV or a movie or read in a book. Well, probably not read in a book at 4, but what is it that made you want to be a neuroscience? Oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for here? Neurologist. What is it that made you want to be a neurologist?
so like first of all, when I was around 3 or 4 years old, I had this surgery that for this inflammation in my bone, and that was like a big experience because it took like 2 or 3 months to recover for that. So it was my first real experience with like medicine and in general like treating patients, and they did a lot of like misdiagnoses and stuff. So it took a while to actually get better, and then that really gave me the exposure I needed to become like interested in medicine because I want to do the things they did. And like ever since I was small, I always empathized with people. So I thought that'd be like a valuable asset, and I wanted to help people. So I thought being a doctor is the best way to do that. And the brain is just it's kind of mystifying in a sense because we
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
absolutely.
Yeah, because the other parts of the bodies we know like a good amount about, but the brain it's still very in like the unknown. So that's what the
Yeah.
two worlds that merge together for me.
That's so just kind of crazy that actually the episode that goes up right before yours, similar experience. That student had a medical procedure that made them, or they had a diagnosis that made them want to go into medicine to figure out how the brain works. So that's really kind of crazy that there are two of you in a row. I had no idea that was going to be the case. All right, so you decide to come to UTSC, and you said you could run to campus if you had to. So I guess did you stay living at home in your first year?
Yeah, I'm still at home. I'm planning to do that for the next like 3 years.
That's a pretty good way to save a lot of money during university.
Yeah.
So definitely can't fault you there. So what was that first year experience like for you? From given that you're from somewhere not too far from campus, did you know a lot of people when you first got to UTSC? Were there a lot of students from high school, people that you knew then that came here as well?
Yeah, there were a lot actually. Like my high school is 10 minutes from UTSC. So I had so many friends that came to the university, and that actually made it a lot easier for me to transition from high school to university because some people actually find it like a very big change, just the workload and everything that's going on. I actually had two friends in the same program, and they had most of the same classes as me. so that made it a lot easier. And then UTSC is actually like it's a pretty good university because people kind of undermine it sometimes because it's kind of small compared to like downtown. But I found it very it's kind of it has like a homey feel, and it's just good to be there.
Yeah, no, I definitely I feel that there's a lot of I see a lot of the same students walking around the halls of campus. Not right now, obviously, but last year, for example, when we were on campus, you definitely get to run into some of the same people around campus, and but it's big enough that it doesn't feel like a high school where you're running
Yeah,
into like literally the same people every day in the same
yeah,
classes, right? So it's got that, it's kind of a perfect number, like 13, 14,000 students.
mhm.
My university was not much bigger than that at all, and I got that same vibe when I was in university that I get at UTSC. So it's nice to have that mix too of like people you knew from high school, but I'm sure you probably met a lot of people as well, um, probably even in your first term, right? People that were either in your courses or that you met doing extracurriculars.
Yeah, I actually met a lot of people because most of my courses had 200, 300 people. So it was very easy. And even frosh, we met a lot of people. It was pretty well organized. I'm still in contact with a lot of my group leaders and the people I
Oh,
had in
that's
my
good.
group. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Which team were you on for orientation or for frosh?
I was on the blue team. They weren't as advanced as like this year with like Mars and Venus and stuff.
Yeah, this year it was definitely a little bit tricky for them to try and plan an online frosh. It's you just can't pull off some of the same things, but I think it was pretty effective. They ended up selling out. They couldn't actually take more students, so that's a
Yeah.
good sign.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that because it's really hard to make something that well organized and like just all the graphical design and stuff is very hard to do.
Definitely. So, as your first year went on, did you find yourself looking out for things on campus to do outside of classes, things to get involved in?
Yeah, I've always been that type of person. Like I don't think just the academic part is like it that's there's other things that are necessary other than that. So I was just looking for like clubs and stuff that I was interested in. I joined a few of them. There was HOSA and like a few other small clubs that I joined.
And HOSA is,
Yeah,
just for anybody who's not familiar, Health Occupation Students of America. It's one of the biggest clubs on campus in terms of total events that they do. I think like I did the math last year when I looked at total club bookings on campus, and they represented something like 10% of all bookings that happen across campus out of 200 and something, 270 clubs, I think, at the end of the year. So they're a very active club.
yeah. HOSA is it's like a legend at UTSC. Like even when I walked in, that's what people said. They're like, it's the biggest club. And
Okay, and you know what's crazy about that is HOSA, I'm pretty sure, started after I got on this campus, and I've only been around for 4 years, so they're not that old, but they're, like, a very well-known, respected club.
yeah, that's a big thing in 4 years because everyone knows about them literally. And for me especially in high school, I started my HOSA club at my high school. So
Oh, no
then
kidding.
yeah, so then that's what really got me into the HOSA here. And then I like I've taken part in it for like 5 years now. So
I
it's
didn't
really
even
good.
know it was something that you could be part of in high school. I guess there's actually more clubs that I think transition from high school to university that I had really thought of. Like I know DECA is one. DECA is one of the first clubs that I actually heard of in a high school that when I started working at UTSC, I realized they were also a university club. But that's interesting to know about HOSA.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of clubs like that. Like DECA especially, they're like huge in high schools because it's they have so many competitions and even the events
And
they
they're
have.
like a business competition based club.
Yeah, it's more like
Right.
case study and pitching and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Yeah,
good for students who might wanna get involved in case studies, go check out DECA.
yeah, and even like for example, the event I did for DECA was business law and ethics. So I mean, that's a totally different like stream, but you could be
That
still be part
is.
of DECA. So
Yeah. Now
it's a
we
good fun.
also now have a law and business association on campus. So there's a club specifically that just focuses on that kind of stuff too. So it's great to see like the expansion of clubs over the years to see that people get these more specific interests and then they take an idea like that and run with it. Um,
Yeah.
and I know you had some experience with that with a club that you founded. So why don't
Yeah.
you tell me about that?
Yeah, I'll start off from high school because that's the theme we're going along. Yeah, so we heard about this person who actually died in a bus stand because of how cold it was outside. And because of that, my friends and I wanted to do something to help people like that and people in need in general. So we started this club in high school where we wanted to distribute blankets to people in the winter because that would help them survive like -40-degree temperatures. And also it like the police is responsible to get them to shelters when it's that cold, but it might be hard to see them. So we also
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that our blankets could be visible enough that they could help the police find these people
Oh,
and
that's a good idea.
get them to a safe place. Yeah, so that's how we found thermal blankets because they're basically like an aluminum sheet. They're not actually
Hmm.
aluminum, but they're like a very long sheet and it's very hard to rip or tear or anything. So it's just perfect for us. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but then we didn't really have the resources we needed in high school and not really the backing either. So when we came to UTSC, we're like, yeah, this is a very good chance to actually take our idea to the big leagues now with 14,000 students listening in. So then we started this club called Blankets for TO at UTSC last year. And we actually did our first distribution event already where we went to downtown and we just went around giving blankets to everyone. And that was one of the coldest days of the winter last year, just to show people that we actually care and it's not just like something we just do. And then COVID happened, but luckily we had an exec team already elected and we had our plans ready for the next semester. So we're in play right now to do a bunch of events very soon.
Oh, that's good. So, what is the plan then for this year? I mean, the temperature is just a little bit starting to change. It's not 30 degrees out anymore,
Mhm.
and obviously, it's going to have to be a little bit different, or it's going to be more difficult this year with COVID. I believe I saw that just this morning, the day that we're recording this. I know this episode won't come out for a couple weeks after this, but the day we're recording this, the CTV News reported that they're going to I think the province is going to limit outdoor gatherings again down to 25 outdoors and 10 indoors or something
Yeah.
like that. So, knowing that this type of stuff is happening, how does that impact your club's plans for this year?
We're pretty prepared for that because we knew this was going to happen when they open up schools and stuff. So we already have something in play already because what we thought is we wanted to do something right now because of COVID because a lot of the homeless people are struggling with like they don't have the resources for hygiene or something. Even the restaurants are closed now, so they can't even go to the bathrooms there. So
Yeah.
so we actually bought a bunch of hand sanitizers, and for safety's sake, we just kept it between the exec members. So it's just the five of us, and we distributed the hand sanitizers among us. So about we got around 12 each for a total of 60, and then we just keep them in our cars. And whenever we go and we'd see a homeless person, we'd give them one, and that'll it'll just help them because I've given out about three or four so far, and literally every one of them is like, "I really needed this. Thank you."
Yeah, that's it's a group of people that certainly kind of unfortunately get lost in the chaos of all of
Mhm.
what's going on around us, right? Like some of the like you said, like just restaurants being closed and not having their bathrooms available. That's a huge thing that like you or I might not think of that because we're like, okay, fine, we'll just go home. But that, what about people who don't have that ability?
Yeah, exactly. And if they go to the shelters, it's hard to manage it there too. So they have to take care of themselves. So we thought the hand sanitizers would be a good option for them.
Yeah, no, that's great. So if people wanted to get involved in your group, how would they find you? Do you have a good place online where they can connect with you, or what's the best way?
Yeah, we actually have an Instagram page. We have a Facebook page. We're even making a website this year. So our Facebook and Instagram are just blankets for TO, just spelled out, no dots or anything. And we post regular updates and stuff on there. And there's a Google form they could fill out to be members for this year. And yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's certainly going to be something that's going to be a little more difficult for students to try and figure out how they can get engaged in clubs when we are functioning in an online space. So I'm glad that you guys have already thought through that.
Mhm.
So then I'm curious, given the fairly broad name of the organization, have you ever considered about expanding the group to other university campuses?
Yeah, we actually were considering that because a lot of my friends go to a bunch of different universities, and they want to get involved because each one of those cities has the same problem we do, and some of them are even worse because some cities have an even worse homeless problem. So then they really thought of that. But the thing is, we really want to build this club here first and build a strong foundation for it so that we can have the infrastructure built already that they can act upon maybe next year.
Hmm.
So this year we're focusing on basically just on growing.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
And you're only in your second year at UTSC, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so you've got some years ahead of you to continue to grow this group. Now, I am curious. I haven't talked to a lot of students who are so early, I think, in their university career. I've been talking to a lot more people who are graduating soon, but I know you still have 3 more full years. But after that, what do you think is going to be the next step? I know you've talked about neuroscience and you're interested in that. So, what do you have you thought through what you think you might do after university?
yeah. The goal is medical school. It's obviously ambitious, so so I'm just working towards that right now.
Well, you
And
might as well have ambition, right? Because then even if you fall short of it, like you've still tried your best to get to where you want to be. So
yeah,
ambition's a pretty good thing to have.
yeah, exactly. I was listening to one of your earlier podcasts with I think her name is Salia or something.
Yeah,
Um,
Salaha.
Yeah, Salha, and I also attended her TED Talk, and she basically did the same thing, which was really surprising to me because what she did is really cool with the whole foundation and the NGO, and
Hmm.
that's like a level I'd like to achieve as well. And yeah, like a lot of things that she said hit home with me too because she's I like to well I've wanted to be a doctor since a long time, but a lot of people ask me why I truly want to be a doctor, and
Hmm.
because I've heard a lot of stories where it's just people doing it for money or just like like not the fame. I mean, like the status or like
Yeah,
being
like the prestige.
yeah exactly, and that's been my answer's always been I want to help people, but I wanted to make sure that I don't like cheat myself into thinking that if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah,
so
no, I get
so
that.
so I've tried a lot of things to make sure that that medicine is actually the thing I want to do. So one of them is philanthropy in blankets for TL, um, because yeah, so we want to give back to that, and even just leadership. In addition, I've been really involved in entrepreneurship these days, and just like technology, trying to learn how to code and making websites, stuff like that.
Oh, that's good. So you'll have a couple different skill sets probably to lean on so that I find that a lot of students during university will find out like they're really interested in something, but maybe they don't want that to be their whole career. And so I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but even if you found out in the next couple of years, like maybe medical school, you're less interested, but maybe you want to do something with neuroscience and coding and technology, like
Yeah,
now you're going to have the skill set to be able to put those together. So good for you for trying different things.
thank you. Yeah, it's just and then a lot of these things go together as well. Like with especially what you said with coding and neuroscience, there's a lot of things that are happening these days that actually are very close to that. Even Elon Musk's presentation with the BCI on pigs, it was like they basically listened to the waves from pigs, and they want to get to a point where you could do anything with your brain, basically.
Elon Musk is an interesting character, and sometimes I think he's like a genius who's saving the world, and then I think he's like one notch away from becoming a James Bond villain who has all the money to do whatever evil plans he wants. So I'm hoping it's the former, not the latter. But I haven't seen that specific presentation you've talked about. I'll have to go check it out, though.
Yeah, it's a really cool presentation because it's one of his companies. He has like 10 of them now with Neuralink. But it's really cool. Like it's very ambitious. Again,
Yeah, well, he is nothing if not ambitious. All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today and share your experience. Those are all the things that I know that I had heard from you in advance we wanted to chat about. But do you have anything else you wanted to add? Maybe advice for students coming into UTSC this year?
I just say that you don't need to, like, just because you're in your first year or your second year, it doesn't mean that you just have to focus on your like studying and your academics. You can do a lot more things than that, and you actually do have the time for that. So I just wanted to tell everyone that they need to really manage their time and do what they actually want to do, and not be forced to just stay with the academics.
Fantastic advice. We'll leave it off there. Thanks so much for all the advice you've given to students and have a wonderful day.
You too, Jonathan.